Assalamu alaikum, adab, namaste, very good afternoon to all of you from local to global. This is your host Imtiaz Patel, Varediawala here from Biba Studio, Bolton, UK, and the show is called The Varediawala Show. Again, today is what we call the health window. In line with the show, which we have a series like Ramadan window, religious window, community window. So I'm glad. I hope you are all okay. This afternoon, we are very privileged and indeed very privileged and honored to have Dr. Rauf Munshi, who is in the studio. He just recently been appointed as the Executive Medical Director, Bolton NHS Foundation Trust, Bolton, UK. And from our point of view, from the health professionals' point of view, and from the medical point of view, it's a very serious responsibility. And we'll talk about his role, responsibility, how he has achieved this responsible positions, which is well recognized in the mainstream society. So we'll find out. Dr. Rauf Munshi, welcome to Biba Studio.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're most welcome. And before we, in terms of Dr. Rauf's introductions, I would rather that he would tell more about himself. But what I need to say as a host that Dr. Rauf graduated from Liverpool University back in 2006. And as I was doing my research about his background, which includes medical and academic background, he was trained in Northwest and started as consultant in Bolton NHS back in 2014 as a consultant in Acute Internal Medicine. Dr. Saab, this means nothing to me, but I'm sure that as we go along, you will be able to enlighten us on this AIM. And then, as I said, recently he has been appointed as the Executive Medical Director starting in the post-February 2026. So welcome to this show, Dr. Saab.
Thank you.
Would you like me to call you Dr. Rauf, Dr. Munshi, Rauf Bhai?
Just Rauf.
Well, I'll
technically Muhammad Rauf or Abdul Rauf.
Abdul Rauf, yeah, right. But I'll call you Rauf Bhai if that's okay, because we have to maintain the level of respect and dignity. So, Rauf Bhai, how was Ramadan so far?
Very well. It's been relatively straightforward, and this week I've got off. The last week I've taken off, so opportunity to rest a bit at home before Ramadan finishes.
Oh, I see. And what kind of preparation in place at home, at the hospital, personally, family-wise?
Preparation in what sense?
Eid preparation.
Eid preparation. I don't prepare anything.
Okay.
No. It's usually either I go to my parents' house or my in-laws' house.
Okay.
And we spend Eid there. So I just turn up.
Yeah, but what kind of day you would envisage when it comes to Eid? What would you normally do?
Yeah. Normally, I take my kids with me to Eid Khutbah, come home, and then go to my mum and dad's house first, have something to eat there, and then I visit my in-laws, and then in the evening, either spend the evening at family's house or maybe go meet up with some friends.
Sounds good, similar to our timetable, but it sounds very good. Dr. Rauf Bhai, tell us something about your early childhood and your early educations before we get into the medical questions and answers, please.
So I'm Bolton, born and raised. Grew up not far from here, just off Derby Street, and went to a local primary school. Went to Brandwood, which is still there. I drive past it regularly. And that was early education. Then went into secondary education in Bolton School. And then did secondary school there, plus college. Interesting times. All of my friends that I went to madrasa with, and I still have regularly meet up with, who I'm still very close with, all went to different schools. So the schools I went to were not the schools that they went to. I didn't really keep many friends or connections with those schools. All my friends and connections were with the neighborhood, with the madrasa, with all of the children from the streets that I used to live on, that I used to play with. And alhamdulillah, to this day, we're still very close friends.
Mashallah, mashallah. So you graduated from Liverpool University in 2006. And what inspired you to pursue a career in medicine? And at what stage you thought that, yeah, that's the directions, that's my focus, that's my goal, and I'm going to go for it?
If I'm being honest, it was my dad that wanted me to become a doctor.
We call it Razak Masa.
Yeah, it was my dad.
Yes.
It's very difficult at that age to really know what you want to do. And my dad advised me and recommended I pursue a career in medicine.
Okay.
For various different reasons. From his perspective, it was a profession where you provide for others. And he, like myself, quite strict and religious in terms of practicing, and his view was that it'd be an opportunity for you to be able to help others, and in doing so, their gratitude, their du'as, would help you. So from his perspective, it was it was a profession where you were helping others, and in return you would potentially, hopefully, get the well wishes of those that you have helped. But there's also something about having some job security within the medical profession and being able to have a comfortable standard of living and have a high education. So there were various reasons for him advising me to pursue a career in medicine. From my perspective, it was a good profession to go into. It offered good opportunities, and I don't think I really had an alternative option at the time, so I went with it.
So, I mean, I'm just saying positively. I mean, were you imposed by your dad to go into medicine, or there was something else in your heart in terms of your interest, or it was just a good coincidence that dad wanted you to be in medicine, your heart was there, and alhamdulillah, it worked out very well.
Yeah. So his recommendation was that I consider it as a profession, and it appealed to me, and I didn't really have an alternative, so I thought I would continue along that route. Okay.
Tell us something very quickly about Liverpool University experience. You as a student, and yes, any memories, any challenges, anything still haunts you in terms of your journey as a student at Liverpool University, especially in medicine, serious students. You're not allowed to kind of take yourself anywhere else, things like that. Those added pressure.
Not really. It's interesting because there's always a degree of anxiety when you leave home, and I feel that right now as my children are getting older. So the older one's 15, and he will at some stage go to university, and you always worry, how is he going to fit in? How is he going to adapt? How is he going to cope? So I had those similar kind of anxieties before going, but I was very fortunate that there was a group of lads from Blackburn, Gujarati lads from Blackburn, who were at the university at the same time. They were all doing different courses. One was doing medicine, one was doing dentistry, and then there was a group of others. But I got to become very close friends with them, and they knew quite a lot of other lads from Blackburn who were going to the university. So as I started, I fell into a group of about 10, 12 local, Asian, like-minded guys from Blackburn. Some of them were Gujarati as well. So it made life easier. We lived together. We used to eat together. We did Ramzan together. So uni life was quite comfortable, and I enjoyed my time in Liverpool.
Okay, that sounds good. Can you tell us about your journey training in the Northwest and how it shaped your career?
So I did my first 2 years after graduation in Liverpool. And those are foundation years. And then I went into training in Blackburn, East Lancs. So I did 2 years in Blackburn and Burnley.
When was this?
This was 2008 to 2010.
Oh, right, yeah. We didn't cross our path because I was
No.
part of that NHS Trust during that time.
Yeah.
I was in public health, sexual health and HIV/AIDS awareness with that team.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. So I did 2 years in Blackburn, and I toyed with the idea of doing surgery earlier on, but it wasn't necessarily for me. In the end, I decided actually I'd rather be a physician. I prefer the challenge of trying to understand what is causing somebody to feel unwell and use your skills to be able to make a decision and initiate treatment. I thought that was it was a different kind of a challenge, but involved more thought process.
Oh, I see.
So pursued a career in medicine as a physician, and then it's just my personality. If I'm again being honest, I tend to prefer short periods of activity. Attention span isn't fantastic. So doing emergency type, acute type work where it's dealing with emergencies or acute illnesses suits me, because I can make an intervention, do something, initiate treatment, and then either discharge somebody, or if they still need ongoing care, pass them on to a specialty for them to provide the ongoing care. So I started training in acute medicine. And acute medicine is basically patients who've gone through the emergency department but need an admission into the hospital, are admitted into the admission areas. So I work largely in the admission areas as a general physician. So I've trained in a bit of everything from cardiology to gastroenterology to renal medicine to elderly care medicine. So it's a broad range of skills as a general physician, designed to try and identify problems, treat and discharge, or if they need ongoing care, then admit into one of the specialist wards for the specialist to continue providing ongoing care.
Nice one. You have partly answered my question, but again, just for the matter of clarification, what led you to specialize in AIM, which is Acute Internal Medicine?
It was that. It was the fact that it was broad, it was general, it covered anything in terms of presentation. So on a ward round, I could see somebody with heart failure, kidney failure, pneumonia, liver disease, and stroke potentially, all in one ward round. So for me, having that broad range of different presentations and the skills required to be able to treat all of those appealed to me, and for me it was the fact that, as I explained, my attention span only extends so far. So for me it was treat the immediate emergency, and then if there's ongoing care needs, then hand over to or transfer to a different team to provide that.
Okay, well, you have mentioned your attention span twice, so I hope you would be able to pay your attention span with me for half an hour at least.
Yeah. No, of course. No. Okay. You mentioned that, but you learn to adapt. So part of leadership development is the ability to be able to understand what your strengths are and where you need to improve. And part of my development as a leader has been to understand what I do well, but areas where I don't necessarily do well, and how I adapt in order to be able to improve in those areas so that I am more well-rounded as an individual and as a leader. So, for example, I know I've mentioned my attention span, but I've learned to have to adapt that by breaking things down to smaller chunks and deal with smaller bits at a time so that I can continue to deliver on the full breadth of the challenge but just do it in smaller bits so that I don't lose that attention in the longer term.
Oh, I see.
So you
I
learn
see.
to adapt in order to be able to become efficient and effective.
Oh, I see. So those who are actually on their way to a similar career path, what kind of challenges and learning experiences you can share with them at your early stage as becoming a consultant?
In terms of becoming a consultant
At early stage.
at the early stage,
Yeah, the learning experiences and challenges.
as a consultant or before becoming a consultant?
After becoming a consultant.
After becoming a consultant. So it's different, isn't it? A lot of people go into medicine with this view or idea of what medicine is, and then the reality actually hits.
Okay.
People are academically very good, but the challenge is actually once you start working, because it is difficult, it is challenging. It's challenging because it involves risk. Medicine does involve risk. You cannot be completely risk-free. It's not completely without risk. And you have to learn to be comfortable operating within that degree of risk. Otherwise, people struggle mentally, physically, risk of burnout, because you have to be able to make some difficult decisions. So all of training is designed for you to be able to get comfortable with making those decisions. But I found, like a lot of my colleagues, when I changed from being a trainee, a registrar, into a consultant, that transition period a bit difficult. Because as a registrar, your decisions are still checked by the consultant. So you could start a treatment plan, but that patient will still then get seen by a consultant who will decide whether what you've done is correct or not. You've become a consultant, and then there's nobody checking your work. It is you, and the decision lies with you.
Indeed.
So for the first couple of months, that transition was difficult. You start second guessing some of the decisions you make. But eventually you settle down because you realize that actually the evidence is there to support you. The guidance is there to support you. You just need to make sure you're using guidance and evidence as part of your decision-making process.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching to the Varediawala Show. Imtiaz Patel, Varediawala here. Along with me, very honorable, very distinguished guest, Dr. Rauf Munshi Bhai, who has been appointed as the Executive Medical Director. And those who are in the medical field, you can understand the honor and the responsibility this position brings at Bolton NHS Foundation Trust. And at this point, on behalf of BBers and on behalf of entire society, we would like to congratulate Dr. Rauf Bhai being as appointed as the Executive Medical Director. When you started this journey in 2006, how did you feel about it?
So I started as a doctor in 2006. I did enjoy it. It was hard work as a trainee doctor. I never set out to take on roles within leadership and management. Initially, it was just a case of being able to do the job and do it safely without potentially making mistakes or causing harm to anyone. It's only as I progressed through my career that I realized that I do enjoy leadership. I do enjoy management. What frustrates often people is those that tend to have a tendency to complain or raise issues without actually doing anything about it. And for me, it was a case of, well, there are issues, there are problems, there are things that can be improved, there are things that you can do better. But ultimately, responsibility has to be mine in order to improve that. I can't complain about these things and expect somebody else to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So I suspect that's where it probably started, where it was, well, I've identified a problem. It's my responsibility to now improve that, fix it in order to make it better as a service for patients, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it evolved from there to where I am now.
Oh, I see. I mean, again, you have partly answered my question in terms of how do you prioritize, and what is your priority in terms of, since you step into these leadership positions. But maybe it connects with the next question as well, that how do you balance it out, your clinical responsibility and your executive leadership duties?
Yeah,
Raupai.
yeah. So I only do one clinical session a week now. So it's you start off training as a doctor, and your primary responsibility is to provide clinical care. But over the years, as you take on different roles, you have to balance your day-to-day activity in order to be able to deliver on those different roles as well. Now, often, the director role is a full-time role. So the director role is a full-time role, but for me to remain practicing as a doctor, I need to do some clinical work. So I continue to.
Is that optional or compulsory?
It's compulsory.
Okay.
So for me to remain registered with the GMC as a practicing doctor,
you have to have minimum hours of practicing.
I have to do some clinical work and continue to remain appraised and revalidated by the GMC. So I do one clinical session a week, which should be enough for me to get appraised and revalidated and continue to hold a license as a doctor.
Okay. Dr. Rauf, from your experiences so far and looking at the current situations, NHS generally speaking, what are the biggest challenges currently facing NHS UK? Not only Bolton, but with the bigger picture.
National issue. Yeah. The biggest issue is finances. Biggest issue for the NHS is money. End of the day, it's a public service, and you need a strong economy to finance public services. The UK economy at the moment is struggling. And over the years, especially since COVID, there's a perception or a view that the NHS is demanding more and more finances, but is not delivering the activity based on the investment by the government. So what the government are now challenging with is finances are limited. You are now going to have to improve productivity instead of asking for more and more money. So there is a squeeze on finances, yet there was an expectation that all NHS organisations will continue to deliver on their priorities and objectives and targets that have been set by NHS England, which proves very challenging.
Okay, and do you see if not in the very near future, but on a mid-term, NHS improving and coming out of this whatever financial crisis or other little bit of crisis they are going through for the past, 5 to 10 years?
Potentially, but in order for that to happen, there has to be a drastic change in the way NHS provides its services. So, for example, the long-term NHS plan is for transferring activity out of hospitals into communities. And the idea being that providing care closer to home will be more effective, more efficient, more productive, will ultimately be cheaper from the NHS perspective. So that involves a drastic shift in the way we deliver our care and services so that it's less hospital focused and more focused within neighbourhoods and within communities, which is very important. But for the healthcare system to do that, there needs to be better cooperation and coordination between primary care, secondary care, local authority, voluntary sector, all working together within neighbourhoods, identifying where some of the key challenges are for those neighbourhoods and how, as a collective, those people that I mentioned can work together in order to meet the needs of the local population within those neighborhoods and communities.
Oh, I see. So what changes or innovations would you like to bring into your organizations at local level, being in that very responsible position?
So the strategy for the organization itself is aligned to the NHS long-term plan, which is transfer of activity into the community, working closer to home. Digital transformation, so that's increasing how we use technology in order to be able to communicate with people, how we deliver our services, how we become more productive and efficient, and greater focus on prevention rather than treatment. So trying to improve the health of the population itself.
So much bigger and more serious and good old model of public health awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, along with the medical obvious, improvement and innovation.
So it's targeting primary prevention, it's screening, it's improving cancer outcomes, cardiovascular disease prevention, especially in certain parts of Bolton, say for example, where we've got deprivation, large global majority population. So we use an analogy in the hospital that if you get on the 501 bus, depending on where you get off will determine your life expectancy. If you get off in one of the wealthier parts of Bolton, your life expectancy compared to one of the deprived areas is for men around 12 years age difference. So people in wealthier areas, men in wealthier areas live 12 years longer than men in the deprived areas. And for women, it's 11-year age difference.
Oh, I see. Right.
So there's a massive inequity in terms of outcomes. And a lot of those outcomes, poor outcomes, are in Asian communities where there's a greater prevalence of heart disease, diabetes, smoking, poor health and diet in general.
Yeah.
Not poor may be the wrong word, but less engagement with screening services, say for example with cancer, because of just maybe cultural issues or just lack of knowledge and awareness, which means outcomes are probably worse for certain populations within the locality.
Oh, I see. And Dr. Rauf, how do you set the high standard and values of patient care under such a kind of high pressure environment like acute medicine and treatment?
It comes down, it all comes down to leadership. The more I did around leadership, the more I realized I don't have the answers. I don't know a lot. My knowledge isn't fantastic. Leaders are not people who've got the most knowledge. Leaders are people who are able to set examples, have a set of values that align to what the organization's values are, and be able to live those values, to be able to communicate, be able to listen, to be able to influence people. So from my perspective, it's making sure I'm setting the right example for other members of the team and colleagues, making sure they're aware of what the standards and expectations are, holding people to account for making sure they are delivering against those standards and expectations. That's how, for me, you continue to maintain safe, effective, caring and compassionate services during challenging times.
Oh, I see. And what is your vision and policy in relation to faith diversity, cultural diversity, and make sure that service users get the services within the framework of medical environment and in the hospital as they need and as they require?
Yeah. Very, very much an advocate for making sure that all of our services are equitable, so meet the needs of all of our population. So Bolton's population is 30% from global majority. So I'm very keen on making sure that the services we provide cater to the needs of everyone, not just the majority. But in order to do that, what we need to do as an organization is engage with different sections of the population to understand what some of the barriers are for them accessing our healthcare services, and what we can do as an organization in order to make it easier for them to be able to access our services. So I am very keen, and we are developing a strategy on how we involve patients from different parts of the population when it comes to transforming or designing our services, so we can understand what their needs are and how we can meet their needs as well.
Nice one. I mean, it's amazing information. After a long time, since I semi-retired from the NHS life, which is nearly 3-4 years ago, and I spent, as I said, more than 25 years in public health, listening to very fascinating medical stuff and terminology. As we are coming to an end of our interview, there's so much to talk because I prepared myself since yesterday. Dr. Rauf Saab sent me his biodata, and I thought, gosh, but we might have to go for the part 2. But to coming to an end, Dr. Rauf Bhai, I have got a quick fire round, and there are 4 or 5 questions. Either you can answer, you can skip, or you can say no. But they are quite interesting, and I think our audience like those kind of questions. So the first question I have got is, one word to describe your leadership style.
Integrity. No, sorry. No, not leadership style. It's difficult to summarize it in one word. It's difficult to summarize it in one word.
Okay.
I could tell you my...
Or maybe 2-3 words.
I'll explain. Because you can't describe leadership style in one word.
Okay.
And integrity is the wrong word, so cut that out.
Okay,
that's
fine.
more of a value.
Fine.
My leadership style... See, I've got to be careful what I say here.
That's what it's called.
My leadership style is influenced by my upbringing, my childhood.
Sorry.
And those of you who know my dad will know his approach towards how he leads and how he manages and runs his business and etc. So when I first started out,
he's a very successful businessman, as far as I know.
Alhamdulillah, he's done very well.
Yeah.
But when I first started out, I had a very similar approach, which was to be very direct, very challenging, to be very uncompromising to a certain extent.
Okay, fair enough. It's a rapid fire.
It is, I know. I can't give you that answer. I can't give you a shortened version of that answer. I'm going to have to give you a full answer.
Okay.
Because otherwise it doesn't come out right.
Okay.
But,
I'm just joking.
But that was my approach. And I realized that does not work.
Fair enough.
That approach does not work in any big organization healthcare setting.
Fair enough.
And as part of my development, I learned to be able to adapt how I lead depending on the situation. And there are times when I do have to be challenging and direct, but I've learned to do that with a bit more compassion and understanding.
Nice.
And then there are times when I have to just listen and understand and just effectively communicate and support and be able to bring people together to be able to collaborate. So if you're asking me what's my leadership style, my inherent leadership style is to tell people what to do. But I've learned to be able to suppress that to a certain extent and dial up the other elements of leadership in order to be a bit more balanced and well-rounded.
Nice one. We got 3-4 minutes. Best advice you have received, professionally and personally. Just 2 words.
Focus on the journey. Don't focus on the outcome.
Is that applies to personal and professional advice?
Yes.
Okay, nice one. A book or mentor that influenced your career and personal life.
Sorry?
A book or a mentor who has influenced your career and your personal life.
Who am I going to say? I've had a lot of different mentors along the way.
Sure.
But I tell you, this isn't quick fire again. As a leader, again, within the healthcare profession, you need credibility. For credibility, you need to have integrity. And the one thing and Sirah of the Prophet.
Yeah.
To be honest, and the characteristics, the honesty, the integrity,
sincerity.
the sincerity.
Yes,
you have to have that.
Yeah.
For me, I have to exercise those in order to be credible as a leader.
Sure.
The day I lose credibility is the day I lose the ability to be able to influence.
Yeah.
And for me to be credible, I have to be consistent, and I have to act with honesty and integrity.
Nice one. Last but least, what keeps you motivated every day? I tell you, in my case, it's my wife. I don't know about you.
Yeah. No, family does, but ultimately, I'm at a stage in life where you start preparing for the accurate.
Yeah.
So for me, what motivates me is making sure I'm preparing for that.
Nice one. What a profound statement. MashaAllah, what a profound statement. And with that note, Dr. Rauf bhai, would you like to have any brief message for Biba's audience and particularly for young people of our society from this platform?
I think a lot of people have a tendency just to let things go by. And I think I'd encourage people to take some responsibility, take some action, and think of others, and don't let things just pass by.
Thank you. With that note, we are going to end this program. But mashallah, આ હતા ડોક્ટર રઉફ મુનશી સાહેબ જે બોલ્ટન રહે છે, યુકેમાં રહે છે અને એક્ઝિક્યુટિવ ડાયરેક્ટર બોલ્ટન NHS ટ્રસ્ટની બહુ જ એક પ્રતિષ્ઠિત જગ્યાની ઉપર એક બહુ જવાબદારીની જગ્યા ઉપર બેઠા છે. અને એમની સાથે વાતો કરવાની મને મજા એટલા માટે આવી કે એમણે મેડિસિન અને મેડિકલ ફિલ્ડને લગતા ની સાથે સાથે બહુ ફિલોસોફિકલ અને બહુ જ મતલબ કે કોમન સેન્સ અને સમજબૂઝની વાતચીત આપણી સાથે કરી. અને એમની વાતો પરથી મને અદમ સાહેબ જે આપણા બહુ જ પ્રખ્યાત કવિ છે, બહુ જ પ્રખ્યાત લેખક છે, બહુ જ પ્રખ્યાત શિક્ષણવિદ છે, એમનો એક શેર યાદ આવે છે કે જે લોકો પણ આ મેડિકલ ફિલ્ડમાં હોય એમને આ શેર લાગુ પડે છે કે ફક્ત દવાથી નહીં મટે અમારો રોગ, ફક્ત દવાથી નહીં મટે અમારો રોગ, થોડોક સંબંધ પણ ઉમેરો અમારી સારવારમાં, અમારા ઇલાજમાં. તો ડોક્ટર રઉફ ભાઈ એ જવાબદારી નિભાવે છે. એમણે વાતો કરી સિન્સિયરિટીની, ઇન્ટિગ્રિટીની, મેડિકલ ફિલ્ડની, લીડરશિપની, રિસ્પોન્સિબિલિટીની, પ્રોફેશનલિઝમની, ક્રેડિબિલિટીની, અને એમણે એમની ફેમિલીને યાદ કર્યા, એમના માતા પિતાને યાદ કર્યા અને સમાજના એવા ઘણા બધા લોકોને યાદ કર્યા જેમનો એમના જીવનમાં ઘણો મોટો ફાળો છે. સો થેન્ક યુ ફોર લિસનિંગ, Dr. Rauf. I really thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. There's so much information within 30-35 minutes, but as far as my questions, I was only halfway, and then I was cued by my producers and my editor that we have to round up this interview. So I'm sure that we'll be inviting Dr. Rauf for part 2 as well, inshallah. Thank you for watching Bibas. Thank you for being with us. Along with my producer, CEO and founder Farooq Bhai, as usual, working very hard behind the scene, and of course our editor and studio manager Sadab Bhai. On behalf of Bibas, Varediawala. So Imtiaz Patel Varediawala. Keep watching Bibas, local to global and global to local. Thank you.